Who are you? When you hear this question, you might think of your name or your occupation. You might think of 1,000 different things, really. But that's not what I'm talking about. Maybe you never thought about it. But there's this feeling that you've always been you. That there's something about you that remained constant throughout your life. There's a core part of you that remains the same, while so many aspects of your life constantly change. So, who are you at your core when you strip away everything that's impermanent and keeps changing? Okay, let's zoom out for a second. You're obviously not me, the guy who's talking on your device right now. How do you know? Because you're seeing me outside of you. If you're the one who's looking at something, then that something is obviously not you. But let's get a little bit closer. How about your body? It changed a lot since you were born, and it will continue to do so. You could even lose a limb, as gruesome as that sounds, and you'd know that you'd still be you. Something about you would remain constant, but it's not your body either. You're experiencing having a body, which means that your body isn't you. Okay, let's move even a little closer. What about your feelings and thoughts? Are those you? Are you the voice that you can hear inside your head? After all, that voice is on the inside. It's constantly chattering and no one else is hearing it. But your thoughts and feelings are even more permanent than the things on the outside. They come and go like waves in the ocean. You're the one listening to the voice inside your head, which means that that voice isn't you. You're the one experiencing thoughts and feelings, which means those thoughts and feelings aren't you. This is the most crucial insight for spiritual growth. You are everything that remains once you eliminate everything that you are not. You're not your experiences. You're the conscious witness of your experiences. You're the awareness behind the experiences. Becoming aware of being aware is the road to peace. It's the way out of suffering. Feelings change. Sadness, anger, fear, joy, they come and go. But your awareness always stays the same. This is the constant I was referring to. At your core, you're always the same. You're always at peace. The more you are able to tune into that sense of peace, the more you are able to let go of all the things that bother you and bring you suffering.
Okay, I want to start by admitting something. I spent way too many hours and way too much brain power trying to figure out how to do this video. Why? Because NF is really hard to explain. Do you ever suddenly feel inspired to do something simply by hearing someone speak? Or do you finally feel comfortable to share something personal with others? If so, this is NF at work. It's subtle, intangible, a vibe if you will. Often something that you cannot point to in reality, but you know it's there, and you also notice when it's not. And before any of you observers say anything, no, we are not referring to ghosts or spirits. Felix and I have completely different NF languages. Felix is NI and FE, which combines to be blast, last for him, and I have NE and FI, which combines to be consume as second. Now fortunately, we almost never have any clashes in the NF. Well, I guess that I'm aware of, except for this one recent occurrence. So if you just watch Felix's monologue, you might be wondering, what on earth is he talking about? Or maybe you're one of these people who actually knows exactly what he's talking about. This is a great example of NF Blast, which is an abstract, narrowed down concept, and is a combination of NT Sleep, how things work, and NF Blast, wanting to help others find peace. The first time I heard this, I was ambushed in the bathroom. Okay, I'm being a little bit dramatic in saying ambushed, but it did start to feel a little bit like that by the end of the conversation. It sounded completely alien to me, like speaking a totally different language, because, well, it was. In honesty, I felt boxed in by the narrowness of this concept, because it is in direct opposition to how NE operates, which is openness and new possibilities. I also had no known sensory to connect it to, because it went against any pre-existing understanding that I had. Felix's message to stop identifying with your thoughts and feelings in order to find yourself honestly left me confused. Now, as someone with FI last, my identity is something that I long to figure out, and I thought that the way to get there was through examining your thoughts, feelings, values, behaviors, whatever else. So then to hear something that was the complete opposite of what I thought I needed to do left me feeling a little frustrated. And personally, I wanted to call bullshit on his whole monologue. I also found that I had some kind of mental block that was actually preventing me from truly being open to this information. And no matter how hard I tried in that moment, my brain kept wanting to dismiss what I was hearing.
At some point, I noticed Holly's discomfort, of course, and making her uncomfortable was never my intention. Quite the opposite, actually. It was like Holly was saying earlier. I felt inspired to talk about these things because I've been learning about them for the past couple of months and resonated with them deeply. I simply wanted to process and share this with Holly, and I didn't have any expectations beyond that. It wasn't my goal to convince her of anything. While I do believe that those insights would be beneficial for her too, I didn't need her to respond in any specific way, which was good, because it allowed me to drop my monologue and attend to her discomfort. We could calmly talk through the root of the disconnect. She helped me see how the idea of detaching from your feelings would seem counterintuitive and alienating for someone who struggles to connect with her inner feelings in the first place. Wasn't her detachment from her feelings the root of her biggest life problems?
Mm-hmm.
I honestly didn't consider this perspective while I was sharing my thoughts with her. Although I was aware that these ideas are abstract and confusing when you encounter them for the first time.
Yeah.
But being free of need allowed me to take in Holly's perspective afterwards. And just as a side note, I'm sure I'm going to talk more about this in the future, but I don't think that what I was saying contradicted what Holly had learned from OPS and what was serving her well, if you look closely enough.
First, we just want to point out that this can be a common occurrence regardless of whether you share the same functions or not. But having completely different functions does add a layer of complexity to communication. Often when we're talking to someone, we want to be heard. Otherwise, why would you bother opening your mouth in the first place? But you need to be aware of just how much need you have to be understood. If you're too attached to your words, then you lose the ability to be calm and flexible when communicating. Did the person you were speaking to not understand what you were saying the first time around? If not, try saying it again slightly differently. And maybe even then, it might still not get through. And it might be because, like I was, the other person is not actually open to listening. Now, fortunately for us, we were okay with not understanding each other at that time. But it is something that we are continuing to work towards. Remember, communication is a two-way street, and you need to be flexible at both ends.
This was the final part in our 4-part relationship series. If you haven't watched the previous videos, just click somewhere here and you can watch them, and also maybe like and subscribe somewhere over there. See you in the next video.